Welcome to Harbinger's flagship interactive webinar, Power Hour.
Ensure you have selected the right speaker for audio output. Test your speaker to ensure it is working fine from the audio settings option on the lower left corner of your screen. If necessary, dial in using phone.
Let's tune in.
Hello and a warm welcome to all our esteemed participants. Thank you for joining us from around the world for this highly anticipated session. My name is Harsh Nangia and I am the moderator for today's exciting event. I would like to thank you for taking the time to attend the Interactive Learning Power Hour session today. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I would like to inform you that Power Hour is a series of interactive roundtable discussions hosted by Harbinger Group, where industry stalwarts share their experiences and insights on a particular topic. The topic for today's discussion is using AI in L&D for e-learning content development. So if you are an L&D stakeholder, an instructional designer, a content developer, or a learning professional interested in the potential of AI in e-learning, this Power Hour is for you. Our host for today's roundtable discussion is Deepali Tharkude, Delivery Head at Harbinger Group. An accomplished professional in a leadership role, Deepali has a track record of building and nurturing high-performing teams and strengthening customer relationships, leading to business growth. Over the last 20 years, she has seen the changing landscape of e-learning development from tools and technologies to delivery models and modalities, and has designed solutions to address business problems for customers worldwide. Her expertise spans business planning and operations, solutioning, account growth, and delivery management with a strong focus on customer engagement, people centricity, and process compliance. Deepali currently heads a content services delivery unit at Harbinger Group. Welcome, Deepali, and over to you.
Thank you, Harsh, and hello to all of you. It is my pleasure to host this Power Hour today. I think we have a great audience of professionals and an outstanding panel of experts with us. But before introducing our panel, I'd like to take a few minutes to set the context of this Power Hour. So let's look at our game plan. We'll start by trying to understand generative AI and use cases in e-learning. We'll talk about using AI for content development and automated assessment. And finally, we'll talk about intelligent media development and AI-powered NLP tools for content creation. I'm sure this looks familiar to all of you. Did you know that we all experience AI in our daily lives without probably even realizing that AI is at play? We've all watched shows on Netflix, and most of you would know that Netflix uses the watching history of users with similar tastes to recommend which shows to watch next. That's how they keep you engaged and ensure you continue your monthly subscription. But look at this picture on the screen closely. You'll see that it shows various thumbnails of Netflix's popular show, Stranger Things. Did you know that these thumbnails are customized to your tastes using AI? Using thousands of video frames from an existing movie or show as a starting point for thumbnail generation, Netflix annotates these images and ranks them to try and identify which thumbnails you are most likely to click on. And these calculations are based on what others with tastes similar to yours have clicked on. One finding could be that users who like certain actors are more likely to click on thumbnails showing those actors. Similarly, what if there was a way that the LMS could recommend a learning path personalized just for you? If it could understand what your learning goals are, which courses you're taking, how well you're scoring in those courses, and then create an evolving learning path based on all of this information, wouldn't that be great? Imagine the LMS throwing up a message that says, hi, since you've got 100% score on this course, you can skip course A and take course B instead. Or since you enjoyed course X, you might want to try course Y, which will test your higher order thinking skills on the same subject. This is just one of the many things that AI can help us achieve in the field of learning and professional development. And I'm sure all of you know what generative AI is, but here's a quick definition on the screen for you. Generative AI is a subset of artificial intelligence that uses models to generate new, previously unseen data. The output of these models can span text, images, music, and voice. Actually, the adoption of generative AI introduces a whole lot of uncertainty and risk around legal, regulatory, and the accuracy aspects of work. And in fact, there are also several challenges like fictional results, chat hallucinations, which we'll talk about more in the session. But at the same time, sitting on the sideline risks being left behind and opens up doors for competitors. So where and when can you take advantage of this technology while still keeping safe? Let's look at some of the use cases that we brought forth. Content generation, of course, that includes creating new storyboards, stories, assessment questions, or other types of content. It could also produce music, images, and videos. Generative AI can read exhaustive documents and generate short summaries that will help us consume large amounts of information quickly. We have gen models now that can be used to produce human-like responses in a conversation, which make chatbots and virtual assistants even more helpful and engaging than they were earlier. We can even design new products like clothing, furniture, or artistic pieces like music, poetry, and even paintings using generative AI. And finally, we can create hyper-personalized content for individual users based on their behaviors and preferences, like in the LMS example I took earlier. So this obviously increases user experience engagement on digital platforms. In fact, research tells us that by 2024, 47% of LMS tools will be enabled by AI capabilities, which brings us back to the question, when should you choose to go with Gen AI and when should you not? I think any tool must be used responsibly, and it's important to consider all the pros and cons when making that decision. Typically, it's best to avoid use cases where there may be regulatory impact or where accuracy is critical, like in the field of medicine or life sciences. And it's also better to use Gen AI where you can interject the entire process with a human review, with some human involvement. There are so many opportunities where we can use Gen AI tools, for example, to boost productivity or in the analysis, summarization, or generation of text. Example, building job descriptions. You can also use it for information discovery or knowledge mining or human-in-the-loop scenarios. Where something is put together from different sources or generated from scratch, but then there's a human layer on top of that. And the human makes the final decision on the content that's generated. At Harbinger, we've been considering all of this advice and recommendations that we're getting from our experts to make some informed decisions. So let's see how many of you have started using Gen AI tools. May I request the audience to answer this poll? We'd like to know if you've started using Gen AI tools in your organization, and you could choose from the answers on your screen. Take a few seconds to look through them and choose your answer. And Harsh, may I please request you to conduct the poll? Thank you.
Thank you, Deepali. Yes, definitely. I'll go ahead and launch the poll. Right. So we see a few answers coming in. That looks interesting. And I think we'll keep it open for maybe another 10 to 15 seconds, Deepali.
Sure.
Right.
A couple of options.
You'll have something to talk about here. All right, so here we have the results have been shared. Deepali, over to you.
All right, great. Thank you so much for your participation. So it looks like most of you have already started using it or, have just started exploring it. And that's great. That's great. We're seeing a similar trend. Many companies have actually gone so far as to tweak their processes to actively use AI tools to increase efficiency and productivity. And for those of you who've just started exploring it, I think it's a great space to be in because you can really take some time to explore the various options before you decide which ones to adopt. And you can also take some time to train your employees on when to use these tools and when not to use them to ensure data security and privacy. So thank you again for your responses, all of you. And for those of you who are using it already, would you mind sharing some names of the tools that you're using at your workplace so that we as a community can share knowledge and learn about some good new tools? If you can share these names in the chat window while we move on with the session, that would be great. Thank you. With that, I think it's the perfect time to bring in our panelists. We have Ankita, Ashita, and Mayank with us on this session today. Let me start by introducing Ankita Mangtani. Ankita is a talented instructional designer, passionate about artificial intelligence and its applications in the media and creative fields. Driven by a curiosity for cutting-edge technologies, Ankita is constantly exploring ways to integrate AI into creative processes. She's been leveraging AI-powered tools and platforms to enhance visual and interactive elements in e-learning to create captivating and engaging experiences for audiences. Hi, Ankita, and welcome to this Power Up.
Hi, thank you.
Next, we have Ashita Vinchurkar. Ashita is a highly skilled programmer with extensive experience in programming and research and development. With a strong focus on technology, Ashita has played a pivotal role in driving automation and exploring new technologies within the e-learning domain. She is a key member of the Center of Excellence team at Harbinger and has been spearheading the adoption of innovative solutions in e-learning development. Welcome to you, Ashita, and I'm looking forward to an interesting session today.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this session, and thanks, Deepali, for having me in the panel today. Thank you.
Sure. Finally, we have Mayank Mudgil. Mayank excels in blending technical expertise and creativity using industry standard and AI tools like ChatGPT and AutoGPT to create top quality content. Recognized for pioneering AI-driven solutions in L&D, he actively contributes content creation insights to the L&D community. His work at Indigo and at Harbinger Group has been recognized for surpassing client expectations and introducing cutting-edge solutions in learning and development. Hi, Mayank.
Hi, Deepali. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. Looking forward to the session.
A warm welcome once again to all three of you. And we're really looking forward to listening to you about your experience with using GenAI tools at work so far. In fact, I know that each of you has been closely involved in driving the use of AI at Harbinger for several months now. So let me start by asking you what really interests you in this topic. Can we start with you, Ankita?
Yeah, sure. Good morning to the wonderful audience, and thanks for joining the session. And thanks for inviting me as the panelist to share my insights on the generative AI. And thanks, Deepali, for the wonderful introduction. And yeah, the question why I'm interested in this AI, because it captivates me with its transformative touch on the society, and it's molding the industries like never before and reshaping the technology's horizons. And it has changed the landscape of every industry. No industry escapes its grasp, not even L&D. So I feel that L&D is the only industry that provides you with great opportunity to explore the generative AI features. And believe me, this industry is witnessing the greatest paradigm shift because of the generative AI. And it has potential to solve the complex problems in this industry, such as, personalized and adaptive learning. And it can automate the redundant tasks for you, such as copy editing and proofreading. And it will also allows you to, create boost your creativity and productivity. And as a multimedia designer, I feel that it is a great tool, and it really helped me to create such nice artifacts with in just a snip of a time. So yeah, that's why I'm like most interested in this thing.
Thank you, Ankita. Thanks. And I think we'll talk a little more and take specific examples on how you've used Gen AI to boost creativity and productivity at work later in this Power Hour. Ashita, what about you? You have been at the forefront of our R&D, and how to use Gen AI to its full potential in Harbinger is something you've been exploring. What is it that excites you about this technology?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Deepali. Yeah, I'm honestly very excited about this particular topic. Gen AI is the talk of the town, and in Harbinger, as you said, we're using it day in, day out. I'm definitely happy to share my learnings and as well as learn from others over here. So specifically to answer your question, I am interested in the fact that AI has a potential in solving real world problems that leads us to create solutions which positively impact people's lives belonging to various industries, including healthcare, finance, transportation, etc. Furthermore, in this swiftly advancing domain, there are ongoing breakthroughs and innovations that foster a continuous learning process of cutting-edge technologies and the exploration of novel opportunities. Yeah, this is again something that excites me towards this.
Thanks, Ashita. Yes, I totally agree with you. And I think although AI in itself is definitely not a new technology at all, but the way Gen AI has evolved in these last few months and the rate at which it continues to evolve is truly exciting. There are new things happening every day, and I'm sure it's a challenge to keep up. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I have the same question for you, Mayank. Your work as an instructional designer probably has the most potential for Gen AI to be used. And I'm sure that is what interests you, but do share your thoughts as well.
Yeah, so instruction design itself can pull a lot of efforts from generative AI. And like, it's been time, like we have been working on this AI behind the scenes. There has been a lot of research for a very long time, and only now we are looking at the fruits of all those efforts coming out. And the it's both empowering as well as there are risks involved in this technology. So both are equal level, and that's what makes it a very revolutionary thing, that it might shape how we think, how we work. And as Ankita and Ashita has also put very good points on how it can change every industry. It can do so much things. So looking at all these possible opportunities, I can't help be not interested or not excited about it. So it is a good idea to be on this side of the table and trying to shape it into a way where it can be productive for all of us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mayank. Thanks for that. And I think all of you have been trying various solutions using Gen AI. So I'm sure this has helped you understand when and how to use it to make life easier for e-learning designers and developers like yourself. Ankita, can you talk a little bit about the different ways you are using this in your daily work?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking this thing. Yeah. So basically, I'm using generative AI to create some engaging artifacts for the e-learning. So what are the tips that I follow is, while creating an image or, kind of an artifact or visual artifact. So what I usually do is I visualize that particular thing into 3 different components, which is shown on screen. So I categorize my image into 3 parts, which is background, characters or actors, and the action performed. So what do I want to see in my picture at the background of the image? And what are my characters, what they will be doing in that image? So once you identify these 3 components, it will be easier for you to create a well-defined prompt, and you can give it to any tool, and then it will generate the desired results for you. So for example, let's say if I want to create just a image for the uh, so I just want to create the image for this particular course where it will be conducted in the continent of Africa, let's say Tanzania, and it will be delivered to the women's college, or the it is a kind of apprenticeship program that will be delivered to the women. So what, and it is related to a safety training course in a warehouse or a factory. So what are the what would be my background for this image? So I will say a kind of a warehouse or a factory or a manufacturing plant would be an ideal place or ideal thing to go as a background. And then I can define something like such as professional working engineers that will go as my characters, and they will be working in a warehouse or a factory, and this is the action they will be doing in that image. So once I identify these three components, so I will be crafting a prompt for these two, or for these three things. Okay, so on the next slide you can see, if I give the prompt, let's say engineers checking material at the factory site. So I have used two tools. One is Adobe Firefly and the second one is the Dream Studio. So you can see the two pictures and what it has generated for you. So generally it is taking, the data is being trained on the, multiple factors, or the tool is being trained on the multiple factors. So it is, not giving you the appropriate result, right? Because I want some female characters to be in, and I didn't define that in my prompt. Okay. So on the next slide, let's say if I modify the prompt. Let's say I just want two female African engineers checking the materials or the machine at the factory site, with one engineer holding the clipboard. And this is how these two tools, will generate some images for you. And you can, choose the one which is most appropriate for you and which is going, for according to your needs. And let's say if I just want to, modify some background in it, so I can add, some examples related to, or the machinery related to the warehouse, a kind of thing. So let's say if I have changed my prompt like this, like, two female African engineers checking material or machine at the factory site with the forklift in the background. So now I have added this component in my image to get these results. So this is how, you can fine tune your image and, get more characters into this thing. So yeah, this is the one thing, like once you have identified, once you have, happy with your image, then you can, capture the essence of the image. For example, let's say if you want, what kind of lighting you want in your image, what kind of, shot you want. Is it a, flat image, or is it a vector image, or is it a kind of illustration? So whatever you want, you can, add those specification in your prompts, and it will generate the things for you. So yeah, these are the few tips that I would consider to, create the artifacts as a multimedia designer.
Thank you, Ankita. It's interesting to see how the slightest adjustments to prompts can significantly alter the results that are generated from these tools. Thank you for that example. Let's look at it from a programmer's point of view, Ashita. As a programmer, I'm sure basic code generation is one of the most common use cases for Gen AI. Can you also use it for more advanced or complex programming?
Sure, Deepali, glad to share these. So yeah, correctly, the way you mentioned already, AI can play a significant role in code generation to code when provided with appropriate prompts. I definitely agree with what Ankita has stated. The choice of prompts and how they are formulated can greatly influence the quality and relevance of the generated output. One of the examples that you might be able to see on the screen is when there is a prompt used to develop a 3D model of a simple object like a ball. So the way you might have visualized it in your head, you might need to provide all the cues in the prompt that is being used to generate the expected result. Here, I tried to build a multicolored ball 3D model with a Python script which can be used in Blender, an open source 3D creation tool which supports modeling, rigging, animation, etc. But when I didn't specify where I need the multiple colors, this is what I get. And after, when I added, I need multiple colored stripes in the ball, Gen AI was able to provide me with the appropriate results. Here, if you see in the screen. So now in code generation only, some other ways in which appropriate prompts can be used includes specific function implementation, where we can use prompts with a clear description of the function's purpose and requirements. For example, construct a TypeScript function to arrange elements of an array in ascending sequence, and then calculate a sum of all the values falling on an even index of that array. Another case is getting context-aware code completion, which is basically using partial code snippets along with the prompts to enable context-aware code generation. Also, by feeding the AI with the existing code base and the partial code, it can intelligently suggest the rest of the code, ensuring syntactic and semantic correctness. Code translation is another area which is basically using prompts with the code written in one language to generate equivalent code into another language. This is useful for language migration or cross-language development. AI can also provide valuable assistance to programmers in both document generation and algorithm design. So as you might be aware, documentation has always been a key challenge for the programmers. This is where using AI can help them to make their work efficient. Some examples include generation of auto comments for code, explaining the purpose of functions, classes, and variables, etc. This saves programmers time and ensures that the code base is well documented. AI can summarize the functionality of a block of content or an entire file, making it easier for programmers to understand complex code and its interactions. And now, for an example, if there are new team members who have recently joined a team, they can quickly grasp the purpose and structure of existing code bases by reviewing AI-generated summaries for a code base. This expedites the onboarding process, reducing the time required to understand the complex code. Again, cross-referencing done by AI is useful as well, where AI can create links and references between code elements, making it easier to navigate the documentation and understand relationships between different parts of the code. Another area where AI can offer valuable support to programmers is when it comes to code refactoring and facilitating compatibility across different programming languages. Some examples might include analyzing the code base and detect code smells, such as duplicate code, long methods, and complex conditionals. Proposing automated refactoring actions, such as extracting methods, introducing design patterns, and optimizing code, reducing the manual effort required for refactoring. Here in this example, if you're looking at the screen, basically, there is a corrected suggestion for optimizing the loop by using an enhanced for loop, which is for each, is provided. Yeah. Another example in the next screen, we can see that use of try with resources for file streams is suggested to ensure proper resource closure. This just makes the code more concise and less error prone, as you don't have to remember to close the resource manually. So AI can also then generate code that combines components from different languages, simplifying the process of creating hybrid applications. So these are specifically, examples related to code altogether. Next, I also want to talk about a specific use case in e-learning. So we all are e-learning professionals. And one big thing we all know is translations. And especially with the D&I focus, making content available in native language is the key today. But at the same time, it's heavy when it comes to cost and timelines. Following a traditional process can be very time consuming and costly as well. And this is where AI can really be helpful for all of us. At Harbinger, we have been using this solution for quite a few of our customers, and I would love to share that with all of you today. So Harbinger has developed a framework around AI called AI content. And what it does is it can take input in form of documents available in any format, whether it's XLIF files, which many of us use for translations through authoring tools, whether they are documents, PDFs, or even videos for that matter. We all understand that video is one of the most difficult formats to be translated, but then AI can really make it effective. So what this AI content framework does is it takes these documents as input and it can transcribe in case of videos and translate that in variety of different languages. Now, the question is this really good? I mean, the quality of translations you can depend on. Well, we have experienced that in most languages. To be very specific, most commonly spoken languages, the AI translation can be almost 90 to 95% useful. And so the question we can have at a business level is, are we okay with that kind of quality of output, or we need a perfection with 100%? And that's where the human review can play a role, where the humans can come in and basically re-review the AI translated text and then make it perfect. And once done, framework can send it back in the same XLIF format, documents, PDFs, or videos as well. So that's the process like we have designed in Harbinger, and it's very effectively being used by many of our customers right now. So yeah, these are the places where I prefer, using the power of AI to make my work efficient.
Thank you, Ashita. Great examples. And yeah, we are seeing that human in the loop is important. I think it also sounds like spending long hours writing lines of code and then long documentation on that code will soon become a thing of the past. Of course, the more you use these tools, the more intelligent they're going to become as well. So it sounds really promising. Thank you for the example on translation. I think that must have connected well with everyone. Mayank, from an instructional designer's perspective, what are the potential applications of GPT according to you? And also, what does the future learning landscape look like?
Sure, Deepali. So one thing, as both Ankita and Ashita have touched on, is how AI can be very creative and how it can also build on logic. So it is able to understand things in a different way than we have not explored before. And I saw there is a question in chat also that whether these LLMs are the AI. So AI is something which is like we program it to do intelligent things on our behalf, and these LLMs are an evolution of those kind of technologies. So earlier also we had like Google prediction API, so whenever we type something on Google search, it is able to predict what are you looking for by looking at different search results. So similarly, these large language models, they are also evolved from those kind of technology where they're not just able to predict, but they're also able to give attention to certain things that we're looking for, and in that space it can search for things. And similarly in our instruction design, it is a combination of all of that, where we are trying to learn something, we are trying to develop a logical path to learn something, and this is where it has a lot of potential. So some ways where we can use GPT to generate text for our e-learning. It's basically we can create slide content, we can create assessment questions. In fact, we also have in Harbinger, we have developed Quillions, which can where we can give content, we can give context, and it can generate assessment questions, and it is able to assess those questions also. So we are reaching that level where we can create a good interface which can assess the learning path. We can also generate scripts in different formats, and we can create summaries. And one thing where instruction designers face a lot of problem is that whenever we are starting an e-learning or a project, we have that blank page in front of us. Using AI, we don't have that problem anymore. We can just prompt it, and it can give us some sort of an architecture of an e-learning course where we can go in and we can tune things out. And how this helps is that instead of focusing on one path to a solution, we are able to rapidly iterate on that architecture, and we can create 10 different paths, and we can go into a more customized path for some young learners or a more complex path for advanced learners. So all of this helps us to make learning more personalized and more effective. And that's what we are looking at for as an instruction designer. And to achieve this, next I want to talk a little bit about prompt writing. So prompt writing itself, it's a skill a lot of people are facing trouble with, because we are looking at it in terms of a Google search. We just type out our question and we expect it to give us the answer. But that's not the right way. And it also opens a lot of room for biases to creep in. And these tools have those biases. They are hallucinating fictitious stuff which is not true or which does not exist. And this can be self-corrected also. We can ask it to correct, but we have to be aware that we have to ask these kind of things to the AI model to correct. And throughout this chat, I'm mostly going to focus on Chat GPT, because that's the most popular one and a lot of people are aware of it. So when writing prompts, some useful things that we can be aware of is we have to choose our words very carefully. So it really matters what kind of words we are using. If we give it a long block of text and we ask it to shorten it versus we ask it to make it concise, both of those results are going to be different. And those are the nuances that we have to work with. We might have to find another new word and replace that, and that might be more effective. So we have to choose our words carefully. And one approach to that is KISS, which is keep it short and simple. So instead of overburdening the tool with a lot of text, we should try to keep it short, simple, and the next point, track back from the expected answer. So it's kind of intuitive that we formulate a idea in our head that, okay, this is the kind of answer that I'm looking for. I want a script that has to be in this format, this long, for this purpose, and that's where you can track back. So whatever things you're thinking of, you just have to note those things down, and you're reverse engineering from the answer in your head to words on the screen and the chat GPT to make it into a reality. So that's an effective way to look at it. And to avoid this problem of it hallucinating fictitious things or bias or something, so we have to share facts and we have to share supporting data within the prompt itself. So we have to limit it to not go out of its way and search for something. So for example, for one project, I was looking at different books on AI policy around the world. And it gave me some books which were actually existing and some books which did not exist. And that's where the AI model is actually thinking, oh, this is for public policy and AI, this is a book which should be there. And it is hallucinating that book and it is giving me the result. So that's a problem. And to solve that, the last point, we have to review. Anything that this tool is giving out, we have to make sure that we are reading it, we are checking it, cross-checking it, and only then we are able to implement it. And this is actually not as easy. And I hope we still have a chance to review it, because if AI becomes so smart that we don't have to review the work anymore, then it is a big problem, because the human will be out of loop. So I'm hoping that we are still relevant and we're able to utilize it to be our best selves instead of replacing us. So Apart from this, some techniques which we can use to write prompts. So this is the paper which was written by Yao et al. And like, other people, and it basically went through different techniques and how effective these techniques are. So this is one way to look at it on how to get to the result you are expecting. So first one is input-output prompting, which is also called as zero-shot prompting. And basically, this is like asking a smart frame a question and they answer you without needing any context or without needing any examples. So, for example, here I've given that create an introduction for a course on basic gardening techniques. So it just gave out an answer, welcome to basic gardening techniques, dive into the world of plants and discover simple methods to nurture your garden. So this can be taken as is, but you can also give it more context. I want a course on basic gardening techniques for kids or basic gardening techniques for farmers, something like that. So you can add more context, but the point is that you give it one prompt and it gives you one solution. So this is zero shot prompting, and this is good for translations, like translate this to another text, another language, or simple A to B kind of tasks. So this is where it can be used. Next in this is chain of thought prompting. So basically, this is asking up follow-up questions, and each question leads to the next. So one really cool thing about ChatGPT or these LLMs is that we have a chat window, an interface, and whatever things that we have spoken about in the past, they remain in that chat window, and those can be referenced. And this really empowers us because we can give it a lot more information. We can give it a raw data in one block, and then we can ask questions about it in the other. There are different ways to go about it, but this is where we are going down the chat window and we are asking follow-up questions. So for example, what are the key elements of effective e-learning? And it has given us, okay, engaging content, interactive elements, this. Now we can ask a follow-up question, how can one of these be implemented? So it will randomly pick one of the other things that we have spoken about in the chat, and it will elaborate. For example, over here, it has taken engaging content. If I regenerate the response, maybe it takes clear objectives, how we can implement clear objectives in our e-learning. So this is chain of thought traversal techniques. Next, self-consistent chain of thought is basically we are ensuring that the follow-up answers are keeping the story straight. So, for example, if I asked what is a good tool for e-learning or for virtual classrooms, it gives us an answer, Zoom. And then we ask, can Zoom do screen shares or group chats? And then it gives an answer. And if I don't mention Zoom, it automatically takes into context the previous thing. So it is similar to chain of thought, but it is self-consistent. We're able to make sure that the previous answer is actually used in the next prompt that we're using. So for example, in this one, which is the most important thing in instruction design, understanding the needs of the learners. Can you provide a tip related to that? Now, here I have not specified that, I need a tip related to understanding the needs of learners, but it is self-consistent. It is able to do that, and it is a good way to evaluate large language models. So next is tree of thought prompts. Now, this is really interesting, and it has been proven to be one of the most effective techniques to work on. And this is that we ask multiple questions and we branch out from one main topic to in different details about it. Now, sometimes in the chat window, when something has gone way up in context, the chat GPT model, its memory is limited, or it is not able to reference too far back into history. So in that case, it is a good idea to just ask one question and then move around in the next branch. And then we can go deeper into one topic, and then we can come back and we can explore another branch. And for example, over here, what's the importance of feedback in e-learning? So feedback helps learners understand their strengths and areas of improvement. So we have taken feedback as the main context. Now we can ask it a question, how can feedback be effectively given? So it will give us an answer that feedback should be timely, specific, and constructive. And we can go down, okay, I need a feedback for this course, for this kind of question, and it will give us feedback. Now, what are some common mistakes? Now I go back to the chain and I ask drivers like sideways in that. And I asked what are the common mistakes to avoid when giving feedback about being vague, overly negative, and not providing actionable steps. So what I can do is I can take the response, copy the response from the first branch, come to this branch, and I can paste it over here, and I can ask you to check if this feedback method is being vague, is it overly negative, or not providing actionable steps. So this way you can traverse different prompts, and has been proven to be a very effective way. So especially for people now who are working on ChatGPT, try this out. I hope this is going to be helpful. You keep in mind the context that you have given it, and ask questions related to it, and it's a good way to get to solutions. For example, if you want to create a e-learning, you create an instruction design document in the first prompt that I need a IDD where I have these limitations. This is the audience, this is the content, this is what I want to make, this is a sample, and I ask it to create an IDD, and then I can reference that IDD in the next prompt, and it can give me answer that, okay, give me some answer for section 3.1 where I can use this, and it will give you a response. So this is a good way to use this technique to get to a good output, a good solution. Now, speaking of future outlook, I hope I'm not too fast and people are able to catch up. In future outlook, what I see is there is going to be a lot of teaching support and learning support where people are able to, instead of being burdened by creating content, they're able to look at the quality and maximizing the effectiveness of whatever intervention that they're working on. It also opens door to a personalized learning path. As you know, others have also mentioned in this panel that you can answer one question, and if you get it right, maybe you can skip the lesson, or you can get a higher degree of difficulty in your questions, and you can apply that, and you can try to prove your understanding, a more solid understanding of the subject. So that's where you can create a personalized learning path also. And next is something which is really exciting, needs-based learning, where if, for example, you are pivoting from one skill set to the other, what are some similar things you can bring from that place to this one, or how you can draw parallels from the one skill set to the other. So that's where need-based learning can also play a big role. So yeah, so this is something on how instruction designers can use this technology.
Thank you, Mayank. I think that was very informative and interesting. I'm seeing a lot of questions come up in the chat and in our Q&A box, and we'll try to take up as many as we can towards the end of this session. So your point on the importance of writing good prompts ties back with the example that Ankita showed us as well. So I think what's coming out is the criticality of prompt engineering to get close to accurate results. Mayank, do you also use ChatGPT for your personal use?
Yeah, so I use it a lot wherever I can find good use of it. I use it for summarizing YouTube videos, like asking it to give me takeaways instead of watching a full 15-minute video. I can just copy the transcript and get a summarized version of it. But I see a lot of creative use also in person, and I think that really opens up rooms where you can have fun with it or make it really useful. So one example is a friend of mine. He recently moved, and he's living on his own, and he has a cook who comes and makes food, and that cook really bothers him that what to cook, and I don't have vegetables, I don't have this, and he's not able to think, okay, I need to eat this, that. So he used ChatGPT actually to create a menu, like a week-long menu for himself, where he mentioned that, okay, I want this cuisine, and this is my calorie intake, and this is something I like, this is something that I don't like. Create a weekly menu, and then the next prompt he asks, okay, prepare a grocery list. So all of his lunch, dinner, breakfast, everything, what he wants to eat, that is sorted, and he just reuses that template again week on week basis, and he can just switch things up, and his life is sorted, right? So I found it pretty interesting as a personal use.
Wonderful idea, something that all of us would love to use, Mayank. Thank you so much. Right. And you talked about the the future landscape and the rate at which things are changing on a daily basis in this field. So looking at this potential of AI to change lives at absolutely every level, how do you all keep yourself updated with the pace of change? If each of you could address that, it would be great. Ankita, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So to keep myself updated, I follow some Discord communities and attend some webinars organized by the Training Magazine Network. And usually the discussion and the webinars are all about, how to incorporate generative AI in our day-to-day work as an ID or as a coder or as a multimedia designer and so on. So you can opt according to your use case. And other than that, I closely be in touch with the Twitter and LinkedIn and ResearchGate that provides me the great insights on the current state of art of this changing landscape. So yeah.
Thanks, Ashita. Mayank?
Sure. So for me, I keep up with the AI trends by regularly exploring some online courses and tutorials. I follow certain influential AI blogs and subscribe to newsletters from leading AI researchers and institutions. And I stay active on social media, which helps me stay informed with the latest innovations and creative ideas related to AI. Experimenting with new tools, being in COE and collaborating with peers also helps me stay current in the fast evolving field.
So for me, like in addition to these, I also follow a lot of people on Twitter. So especially people who are working in OpenAI or Stable Diffusion or different like major companies that are popping up, as they are able to, they share whatever new things are happening in the field or what new product they are coming up with. So it is a good way to stay up to date. And I also use Reddit as a main source of learning where I can post things, my questions. I can see what other people are working on, where they're facing challenges, maybe support them. So for me, these two are main fields where I can get a lot of information.
Thanks, Mayank. I think we've posted a few of these resources and links in the chat for our audience if you'd like to take a look. I think that brings us to, almost the top of the hour. Thank you all the panelists for sharing your thoughts. I have some great takeaways from this session. I think the main ones are how GenAI can help improve productivity and efficiency in the entire e-learning process, right from instructional design, visual design, and even translations and localization. We have an interesting list of tools in the chat box to try out and how to use them, not only in work, but also in our daily lives. Meal planners, reminder. Thank you to the audience for participating. Thank you, Ashita, Mayank, and Ankita once again. I do hope all of you have enjoyed the session as much as we did. Harsh, over to you.
Thank you, Deepali. And thank you so much to our viewers for having joined us here today. I would like to take a moment to share about Harbinger Group. And we are a global technology company that builds products and solutions that transform the way people work and learn. And how we do that? Well, the future of learning and work is here. Harbinger's experience of over 3 decades in these areas is distilled into clear frameworks that our customers use as ready templates for their transformation initiatives. So when you work with Harbinger, you will experience our focus on delivering unique learning experiences by significantly optimizing your training spend while also reducing the development time. For over 30 years, we have been innovating alongside organizations that are in the people business, serving human resources, e-learning, digital publishing, education, and high-tech sectors. Harbinger's AI offerings, as you just saw a while ago, are powered by our iContent framework, which has helped our clients with AI-based learning content translation solutions, AI-based chatbot solutions, AI-based recruitment and onboarding automation solutions, among other custom solutions that we develop for our clients. Our custom content offerings include content transformation, custom learning, nudge learning, gamification, accessibility, and translation and localization. As a group company, we're a team of over 850 professionals with a team of over 150 e-learning producers. So we are small enough to care and large enough to deliver. To add to this, Harbinger has developed over 500 products and worked with over 400 customers across the globe, where we have a 43% of our workforce and 40% of our executive team that comprises of women. With that, I'd like to take up a few questions that have been posted. So let's start with the first question. Deepali, if I can request you to answer this one. What are some of the things to watch out for while implementing AI?
That's a great question, Harsh. So some of the things that come to mind immediately are, like Mayank said, the risk of fictional content being generated or chat hallucinations, as they're called. There are also chances that AI models can be trained with biased or incorrect data. In fact, language models such as GPT-3 can actually simulate alter egos or personas in their response, which means that basically they generate content which is the exact opposite of factual content. I think that's why any AI tool must be thoroughly tested and researched before you decide to use it. And I see a couple of other questions, so I'll just add the answer here is, it is important to check the legal terms and conditions of the tool if you can, because you have to see whether you can use the output for commercial purposes or if the content generated is going to be made available elsewhere and how that affects your data privacy and confidentiality laws. So best to take guidance from the legal team in your organization.
Perfect. Deepali, and by any chance, do you also use AI in e-learning?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We started using AI-based voiceover, translations, and even video generation, like our panelists explained. In fact, for a recent project where we were asked to modernize and spruce up the look and feel of courses that were developed a few years ago, we used an AI-based video creation tool. And with some good prompt engineering, we created video snippets in a matter of minutes. We of course vetted the tool internally and also asked permission from our client whether we could use it or not. But the output looked wonderful and with such minimal effort. So absolutely, we have started using tools.
That's really interesting, Deepali, and thank you so much for your thoughts on this. If I may address this question to Ashita first, and then maybe Mayank, I'd like to hear your thoughts as well on this. How do you handle data privacy when it comes to AI?
Sure, Harsh. So basically, yeah, Mayank, you want to go first?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, if we talk about LLMs like GPT, then there is a particular way you can use it through either chat interface, chat GPT, or maybe through APIs altogether. But as per the latest update that we have from OpenAI, the company has stated that it will not use data submitted by customers via API to train or improve their models unless customers explicitly decide to share their data with them for this purpose. And another way I can mention to secure your data would be using open source AI models, which can give equivalent results like GPTs. Some examples include Falcon, Orca, and Llama 2, which is newly introduced by Meta. These models can be deployed and hosted at an organization's end, ensuring optimum security of their content.
Yeah,
thanks, Ashita.
To add to that, like ChatGPT 4 API or ChatGPT 3.5 API does not store data, And even if you're using the chat window, the web interface of ChatGPT, we have a setting option where we can disable history, and there is also setting to um, stop ChatGPT from using that data to train its model. So as long as that setting is enabled, it won't save the history, but on the other side, it won't store data for its own training.
Thanks, Mayank, and thanks, Ashita, for your thoughts. I think it's very important that we address this issue of data privacy, and organizations are beginning to take AI very seriously, and that means that we've got to address this issue internally and know about all the options available before we dive into it. So if I had to take that thought further, Deepali, if you may please touch upon this question, how are you making sure that the usage of Gen AI tools is legally approved by your organization?
Thank you, Harsh. Yes, that's definitely an important one. From an organization's perspective, I think it's critical to understand the legal terms of using the output. Some of the important questions that you need to ask are, can you reuse the generated content commercially? Who has the final copyright to the content generated? Or, will the content you input into the tool be stored or used elsewhere by the tool, because this directly affects your client's privacy. So these are all questions that you need to ask before taking the plunge. At Harbinger, our legal team actively participates in the selection of AI tools. So as early as selection is where the legal team comes in. There is a deep dive into the legal terms and conditions, copyrights, data ownership, and we make sure our customers are not adversely impacted in any way before we use these tools for work. So similarly, I would suggest that it's best to talk to your legal team before you decide on using a tool. I hope that helps.
Thanks, Deepali. Absolutely, and a very important aspect, taking our legal team into the picture, as well as taking cognizance of our clients' requirements and taking their permission before going out and using some of these tools is extremely critical. So having said that, a huge thank you to our panelists and Deepali for answering the questions. And in the interest of time, we will not be able to take all of these questions that have been posted for us. However, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and email you the responses after this power hour session. And you are most welcome to also connect with our panelists directly via LinkedIn. We've gone ahead and shared their LinkedIn profile links right now in the chat window. And if you did sign up for our power hour session, we will be sharing today's recording with all of you. With that, I once again thank Deepali and our panelists, Ankita, Ashita, and Mayank for this wonderful discussion. And I'm sure we are all going back with some food for thought today. I would also like to thank our viewers for joining the session through Zoom. You are an incredible audience. But before we say goodbye, I'd like to inform you that right after the session, you will be redirected to a survey link to share your feedback on today's session. So your feedback is invaluable to us, so please take a moment to share your thoughts with us. Thank you once again, take care, and have a good one.